but when it is very dirty and suspended over the soup, it is not a pretty picture. The reboso, in itself graceful and convenient, has the disadvantage of being the greatest cloak for all untidiness, uncombed hair, and raggedness that ever was invented. Even in the better classes it occasions much indolence in the toilet, but in the common people its effect is overwhelming. When the reboso drops off or is displaced by chance, we see what they would be without it. As for the sarape, it is both convenient and graceful, especially on horseback; but though Indian in its origin, the custom of covering the lower part of the face with it is taken from the Spanish cloak, and the opportunity which both sarape and reboso afford for concealing large knives about the person, as also for enveloping both face and figure, so as to be scarcely recognizable, is no doubt the cause of the many murders which take place amongst the lower orders, in moments of excitement and drunkenness. If they had not these knives at hand, their rage would probably cool, or a fair fight would finish the matter; and if they could not wear these knives concealed, I presume they would be prohibited from carrying them. As for taking a woman cook in Mexico, one must have strong nerves and a good appetite to eat what she dresses, however palatable, after having seen her. One look at her flowing locks, one glance at her reboso, etc., c'est fini. And yet the Mexican servants have their good qualities, and are 1,000 times preferable to the foreign servants one finds in Mexico, especially the French. Bringing them with you is a dangerous experiment. In 10 days they begin to fancy themselves ladies and gentlemen; the men have don tacked to their name, and they either marry and set up shops, or become unbearably insolent. A tolerable French cook may occasionally be bad, but you must pay his services their weight in gold, and wink at his extortions and robberies. There are 1 or 2 French restaurants who will send you in a very good dinner at an extravagant price, and it is common in foreign houses, especially amongst the English, to adopt this plan whenever they give a large entertainment. The Mexican servants have some never failing good qualities. They are the perfection of civility, humble, obliging, excessively good tempered, and very easily attached to those with whom they live. And if that rara avis, a good Mexican housekeeper, can be found, and that such may be met with, I from experience can testify, then the troubles of the menage rest upon her shoulders, and accustomed as she is to the amiable weaknesses of her compatriotes, she is neither surprised nor disturbed by them. As for wages, a good porter has from $15 to $20 per month, a coachman from 20 to 30. Many houses keep 2 or even 3 coachmen, one who drives from the box, one who rides postilion, and a third for emergencies. Our friend , who has many horses, mules, and carriages, has 4, and pays $40 per month to his head coachman, the others in proportion. A French cook has about $30, a housekeeper from 12 to 15, a major-domo about 20 or more, a footman 6 or 7, galopin and chambermaid 5 or 6, a gardener from 12 to 15. Sewing girls have about 3 reals per diem. Porter, coachman, and gardener have their wives and families in the house, which would be an annoyance were the houses not so large. The men servants generally are much cleaner and better dressed than the women. One circumstance is remarkable, that dirty as the women servants are, and notwithstanding the enormous size of Mexican houses and Mexican families, the houses themselves are, generally speaking, the perfection of cleanliness. This must be due either to a good housekeeper, which is rarely to be found, or to the care taken by the mistress of the house herself. That private houses should have this advantage over churches and theatres only proves that ladies know how to manage these matters better than gentlemen, so that one is inclined to wish a la Martineau that the Mexican police were entirely composed of old women. 12th. I have formed an acquaintance with a very amiable and agreeable nun in the convent of Santa Teresa, one of the strictest orders. I have only seen her twice, through a grating. She is a handsome woman of good family, and it is said of a remarkably joyous disposition, fond of music and dancing, and gay society; yet at the age of 18, contrary to the wishes of all her family, she took the veil, and declares she has never repented of it. Although I cannot see her, I can hear her voice and talk to her through a turning wooden screen, which has a very mysterious effect. She gives me an account of her occupations and of the little events that take place in her small world within, whilst I bring her news from the world without. The common people have the greatest veneration for the Holy Sisterhood, and I generally find there a number of women with baskets and men carrying parcels or letters, some asking their advice or assistance, others executing their commissions, bringing them vegetables or bread, and listening to the sound of their voice with the most eager attention. My friend, the Madre has promised to dress a number of wax figures for me, in the exact costume of all the different nuns in Mexico, beginning with that of her own convent. I have now seen 3 nuns take the veil, and, next to a death, consider it the saddest event that can occur in this nether sphere; yet the frequency of these human sacrifices here is not so strange as might at first appear. A young girl who knows nothing of the world, who, as it too frequently happens, has at home neither amusement nor instruction, and no society abroad, who from childhood is under the dominion of her confessor, and who firmly believes that by entering a convent she becomes sure of heaven, who moreover finds there a number of companions of her own age, and of older women who load her with praises and caresses, it is not, after all, astonishing that she should consent to ensure her salvation on such easy terms. Add to this the splendour of the ceremony of which she is the sole object, the cynosure of all approving eyes. A girl of 16 finds it hard to resist all this. I am told that more girls are smitten by the ceremony than by anything else, and am inclined to believe it, from the remarks I have heard made on these occasions by young girls in my vicinity. What does she lose? A husband and children. Probably she has seen no one who has touched her heart. Most probably she has hitherto seen no men, or at least conversed with none but her brothers, her uncles, or her confessor. She has perhaps also felt the troubles of a Mexican menage, the society of men. She will still see her confessor, and she will have occasional visits from reverend padres and right reverend bishops. Some of these convents are not entirely free from scandal. Amongst the monks there are many who are openly a disgrace to their calling, though I firmly believe that by far the greater number lead a life of privation and virtue. Their conduct can, to a certain extent, be judged of by the world, but the pale nuns, devout and pure, immured in the cloister for life, kneeling before the shrine or chanting hymns in the silence of the night, a veil both truly and allegorically must shade their virtues or their failings. The nuns of the Santa Teresa and of other strict orders, who live sparingly, profess the most severe rules, and have no servants or boarders, enjoy a universal reputation for virtue and sanctity. They consider the other convents worldly, and their motto is all or nothing, the world or the cloister. Each abbess aids a stricter rule, a severer penance than her predecessor, and in this they glory. My friend, the Madre frequently says, were I to be born again, I should choose, above every lot in life, to be a nun of the Santa Teresa, but of no other convent. It is strange how, all the world over, mankind seems to expect from those who assume religion as a profession a degree of superhuman perfection. Their failings are insisted upon; every eye is upon them to mark whatsoever may be amiss in their conduct. Their virtues, their learning, their holy lives, nothing will avail them, if one blot can be discovered in their character. There must be no moral blemish in the priesthood. In the Catholic religion, where more is professed, still more is demanded, and the errors of one padre or one ecclesiastic seem to throw a shade over the whole community to which they belong. End of letter the 19th.